What's up, friends? Rob Sevilla here with Agape Insurance and Financial Group in Tupelo, Mississippi. And today I'm with Mr. Pat Schmidt, who is our Managing Director of our Retirement Division with the Impact Legacy Group. So just to clarify right out of the gate, Agape is here local in Tupelo, Mississippi, but we pretty much work in every state. We are partnered with the Impact Legacy Group for a nationwide presence. And Mr. Pat Schmidt is the one who manages our retirement division. So, Pat, will you just say what's up to everyone that may be watching this whenever they're going to be watching this?
What is up, Rob? Good to see you, my friend. Good to be with you, man. Good to be my first time being a guest on your podcast, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm so excited that you're with us as well. And today we're going to do things a little bit differently because we work with a lot of people that are going on Medicare, right, in that 60s range or 65 and above range. And a lot of them, Pat, have worked really hard for many years for this retirement. And when they get to retirement, a lot of them are really shocked that maybe it's a little bit harder to navigate through than they thought, or maybe they didn't have enough money saved up to live comfortably or the life that they had previous. And so what I wanted to do with you today is really just break down some roadblocks, break down some different strategies, or kind of some strategies that you would give when we sit down with people. But before we do that, do you mind just giving us a little 30,000 foot view, if you will, of your bio? So that way, because I know people are going to ask, why should I work with Rob and Pat?
Yeah, Rob. Absolutely. I don't like talking about myself, so I'll give you like the 300,000 view
Okay, gotcha.
of that. But no, I'm born and raised up in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a Buckeye at heart, my friend. But so did my schooling at Ohio State and sports background. But have spent the bulk of my career in the financial service, specifically the retirement planning space. And co-founded and co-launched about 11, 12 years ago, an operation, if you will, here in Ohio. And we scattered 13 offices across the state, and with really a desired focus on putting out the concerns, putting out those fires and the issues that we're going to get into today, and putting at ease all those retirement concerns. And so it was very focused on those who are they're in retirement. We have a partnership with Charles Schwab on our investment side. And so when I stepped away and joined the Impact Group, we had over about 250 million of assets under
Wow.
management, and taking a very conservative approach, because with our retirees, it's not about grow. It's about how do you preserve it, how do you protect it, how do you make sure that you can't outlive it, right? And
Sure.
so it's a lot of fun putting together these strategies. And now with the group that we have, and working with a lot of folks who maybe specialize in Medicare or other insurance products, coming alongside them and helping to put aside those various concerns.
Yeah, because just like Medicare, one of the things we hear all the time when I sit down with people is, why do they make this thing so complicated? Why do they make Medicare so hard? And it's just like drinking from a fire hydrant. Well, retirement is the same thing, right? It's like so many people that we sit down with, they just don't know what to do. They just think about leaving it in that 401, that they've been contributing to most of their lives. Some of them are scared to move it because they think they may lose. And so they don't know the difference between rolling it into over their, a different type of vehicle versus their 401. Some people, are worried about, am I going to run out of money more than the lifespan that I have?
Yeah, and it's hard, right? So you have that person who's making that crossover into retirement, or maybe they're getting really close, and so they're starting to evaluate, what do I do next? Or even that person who's in retirement, you start to evaluate, who do I work with? What investments do I own? Should I own stocks? Should I own mutual funds? Now there's this A word that's out there, annuities, and there's a bunch of different types, right? So it can truly become, in many ways, paralysis by analysis, trying to figure out the team, the tools, and how you're going about it. But what doesn't change in all that is really four key questions that I think a lot of retirees have. And number one is, is the investment strategy that I have, is it going to preserve, it's going to protect, my hard-earned money? does my current financial plan, does it consider really everything that I really need when I'm no longer working? Taxes, how will things like taxes affect the money I saved? And those who are getting ready to retire, am I going to be okay? Can I make it? With what I have, with Social Security, with other available incomes, am I going to be able to make it? All the way through retirement. And so those are the things that keep people up at night. Those are the things that, if not dealt with, can create conflicts in these retirees' marriages and within their families. And our group, and Rob, this, we talk to this a lot, but we talk about the retirement roadblocks and making sure that there is a clear path of what that retirement looks like. And so folks can be confident, right? And have that confidence to go through the things that they've looked forward to in retirement, things that they've desired to doing. And it's so cool, so fun to be able to put those great plans together that eliminate those roadblocks.
Sure. And can you just give us a real quick rundown of some of those roadblocks, if not all of them, but just some that you think just kind of rise to the top and they're important?
Yeah, and I'll circle back to that, but kind of going back to the people, right? It's hard to understand. Okay, you have retirement planners, you have financial planners. I have this person or that person, and I think for somebody who's just getting ready to near in retirement, there's two things I would want to empower you to look at. Is one is does this person truly focus on retirement advising, retirement planning? Are they built with the tools and the strategies to get you through retirement? A lot of the financial planners are out there. The large majority of them are focused on, getting you to retirement. They're focused on accumulation. They're focused on growth.
Right.
I'm not saying you can't grow your money in your retirement, but once you get into retirement, it's making sure that you're working with the right team, the right people, the right tools and resources that can eliminate those roadblocks. And I think the first thing everybody needs as they set out onto retirement, Rob, is you got to have an income plan. Right. To me, I think of the income plan. Like if I'm getting ready to take a trip across the country, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check my car. Right. I'm going to make sure it's gassed up, it's oiled up. I'm going to make sure I have the right vehicle to get me from here across the country. Well, a great income plan is that same thing, right? And everybody's going to have that income or that vehicle built a little bit different, right? Some people need more income a month. People some people, want the luxury car. Some people are okay with the compact car, gas, electric, all that. But you know what everybody wants in that income plan, and the same thing they want in that vehicle, is they want safety. They want to know that if something happens, they're going to be protected and their family is going to be protected. So, and I think the foundation, the core of every great retirement plan is that same safety feature. It's right. Knowing you have predictable income to get you all the way through the retirement, all the way that you can't outlive it. But, unfortunately, just having a great income plan is not enough, because once you get on that retirement path, now you have the roadblocks. So what are those? So that was a long-winded intro for me, Rob. Sorry, man.
No, thank you for sharing.
But those roadblocks are, number one, it's taxes. We have a whole generation that are retiring with 401ks, 403bs. Those are all traditional IRA accounts, and they're all pre-tax. And Uncle Sam would love nothing more than to get his paws on as much of those dollars as possible. So having a plan to make sure that you are, de-taxing those dollars, doing things like converting them to things like Roth IRAs and tax-free strategies is incredibly important. So that IRA taxes is number one. So having a plan for that roadblock. The second one is market risk. It's okay in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s to be able to take on big dips in the market, because maybe you're not living on that money quite yet. But once you get near in retirement, you can't afford the roller coaster ride that the market can have. So making sure that you got enough market protection in your plan is really important. And then the third of the four roadblocks then would be long-term care. And Rob, as you know, this is the financial killer. If people don't have a plan for long-term care, those costs of $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $11,000 per month can truly devastate what people have worked really hard for. So and then the fourth roadblock is investment fees, right? So I hit income plan, I hit IRA tax plan. market risk. So got to have a market safe plan, got to have a long-term care plan. But having all of those in place, the other thing you need to make sure is that you're keeping those investment fees and keeping those internal costs really low. And that's that nasty, roadblock that people don't see, but can really impact the longevity of somebody running out of money if they're paying excessive fees and costs for their planning. But if you got all those things, right? If you got an income plan, you got an IRA tax plan, you have a market safe plan, you have a long-term care plan, and you can keep your investment fees and keep those costs low, it is smooth sailing on your retirement. But it's so important to have all 5 of those pieces in place.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I want to go back to the long-term care plan because this is something that comes up a lot when we sit down with people that are retiring, going on Medicare, but a lot of them never really explored it, and now a lot of them have medical challenges. A lot of them have other various medical issues that they may be dealing with that makes it harder for them. But even with people that are challenged like that, because I want to point this out, we still have options for them, correct?
That's absolutely right. So, some people evaluate long-term care insurance, for example. Well, long-term care insurance can be really expensive. Not everybody can qualify for it from a health perspective, but you're absolutely right. There's other tools out there. There's annuity products. There's things that you don't have to qualify from a healthcare. There's estate planning tools that can be put in place to help preserve and protect assets. So if you're out there and you're listening and you haven't evaluated the landscape of all the things that you can do from a long-term care perspective, call Rob, call our buddies at Agape, because we can help you evaluate all those pieces to make sure that the last plan you want when it comes to long-term care is the hope plan. The hope plan is hope you don't need it, right? I think last statistic I saw on this is that there's a 70% chance that retirees will need some form of long-term care in their lifetime. Rob, get this. There's a 90% chance that a husband or wife will need some form of long-term care. And at the average stay of 3 years and those average costs of $7,000-8,000 a month, right? It doesn't take long for, that blue collar, the other 99 percenters out there, for us to lose everything we have if we don't have a plan in place. So that's paramount. And I believe if you're talking roadblocks, that's the biggest roadblock. And unfortunately, people don't start to evaluate until it's too late. So even if you're in late 50s, 60s, you're making that crossover into retirement, it is an ideal time to go ahead and start evaluating all the different things and tools that you can be putting in place for that, Rob.
Yeah, as you were talking, and this will date me a little bit, my age, but I thought of that game I played when I was a kid called Battleship, where you sank somebody's battleship, and I'm using a humorous analogy here, whenever you're watching this on YouTube or whatever platform, is that this literally could sink your financial battleship if you do not have a plan in place for your long-term care. Us at Agape, we partner with way smarter people than us, like Pat Smith, who help us help you not only with your Medicare, but put together these strategies and shield you against these roadblocks, right? That everyone is challenged with. There's no respecter of persons here. Every one of us are challenges this when we get to that particular age. Let me go back to investment fees too, because this is a hot topic that I think a lot of people that we sit down with don't really understand. But there's a lot of organizations, and we don't want to put down anybody. We don't believe in doing that. But there's a lot of organizations out there that charge high fees for various things, that are happening within certain vehicles they're using. Let me just put it that way, or income vehicles. Talk about that a little bit more, or as much as you can, expound on that so we can bring some clarity to that.
Yeah. So Rob, the thing to be mindful of if you're out there listening, like, I hear fees and costs, but I don't know what I pay. I don't know how they work. So let me just kind of give a little, abbreviated lesson of that. So there's really 2 types of fees. So there's the fee that you pay the advisor for the planning that you're getting, but then there's the internal fees and cost of the investments that you own. Almost always, typically, those are in percentages. So, for example, let's talk about the advisor fee. almost always that is a percentage of the assets that are considered under management, which Rob, I have a really tough time with, and it's why we have a different fee structure on our side. But the percentage fee is based off of the assets again that they manage. So often that can be a 1 to 2% assessed fee, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. So for even number purposes, if it's 2% on $200,000, well, that person is paying $4,000 a year for their investment advice. Now, I always struggle with this, Rob. So why would if somebody has 200,000 and they're paying $4,000 a year, let's say the next person in line to see that advisor getting the same advice, they're getting the same investments, they're getting the same time from that advisor, but maybe they have $100,000 and they're paying 2%. Well, why is the person, with twice as much money paying twice as much for the fees when they're getting the same amount of time, the same advice,
Right.
et cetera? And so, we do a flat fee that is transparent, that is based off of services, value, and the things that we're actually doing for our client. And the result of that is thousands of dollars a year of savings for clients. And now it's about execution and about the things you said you're going to do for your client. It's about putting plans in place for those roadblocks that I mentioned. But then the other nasty fee is on the cost of owning investments, and there's certain types of annuities, there's mutual funds, and those can be another 2 to 3%, sometimes higher than that. So there's a lot of times, Rob, and this in your world, but with somebody who has maybe $500,000, and so $500,000, but they're paying 2% for their advisor and another 2% in their internal cost of ownership, that they can pay $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a year in total fees. Well, Rob, that's $100,000 over a decade. So think of, if you can eliminate those fees, you can eliminate those costs, and you can use low or no cost investments. Now all of a sudden that money is staying in your portfolio. It's working for you. It's building interest, and imagine the impact that has on the success of your money lasting throughout retirement. So for somebody who's maybe never got an understanding of their fees, if you're out there, man, come into Agape. We love the opportunity to run a fee analysis, fee assessment, show you where the bodies are buried, show you where those fees and costs are, to make sure that those fees, those investment costs don't sink your battleship.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, because it's amazing to me, the people that we sit down with have no idea. It's just like they've never really looked at it or just didn't pay attention. And then when you really start adding it up, you go, wow, this is quite a bit of money that they're losing, if you will, over X amount of time. And so I'm glad that, with Agape and the Impact retirement team, that we're just transparent. We're putting it out there. This is what you're going to be charged. And I love the fact that if you're sharing that. Let's talk about market risk real quickly, because one of the things I hear a lot when I sit down with Medicare, people going on Medicare retirement, is, well, I'll just leave it in my 401, my work plan. What are some maybe reasons not to do that, that people need to hear today?
Yeah. So, on the 401k side, the unfortunate part of the 401ks and those retirement accounts, the 403bs, 457, the menu of investment options has just gotten smaller and smaller and smaller over time. And a lot of those investments, because they're 401ks, they are built and designed for that person who's pre-retirement, right? They're designed for growth. They're designed for risk. Well, what comes with risk is the opportunity for loss. So moving them outside, and you can take a 401k and you can roll it over to an IRA. And when you roll it over to an IRA, if it's held at a place like Charles Schwab, now all of a sudden that menu of options goes from, say, 7 or 10 investment choices to 15,000 investment options or more. And now all of a sudden you can look and say, okay, how can I achieve the most efficient, the most effective portfolio design that's built for me and my retirement considerations? And a big part of that goes back to, all right, I need to make sure that I'm getting I'm getting and using the best market safe tools possible. And I've hit annuities. I talked about those with fees, but there's some really great annuities out there that provide accessibility, but they're just great safe places to be able to grow your money, but be able to also have the flexibility to utilize for income. So, fixed index annuities are growing in popularity. Our company uses those as a wonderful complement to plans. I mean, if somebody looks at their bond portfolio over the last 12 to 18 months, well, that used to be the safe place where people would put their money against these downturns. Well, when interest rates go up, Rob, those things come crashing down too. So bonds have lost as much as stocks in a lot of places over the last 12 months. So where do people go? Well, you can't put it in your checking account and your savings account when inflation's going sky high. You need to still, achieve growth. And so that there's some really great fixed tools that are out there right now to be able to still get predictable income, but still be able to outpace inflation to make sure that that's not threatening the retirement that one could have.
Yeah, and I want to touch on annuities for a second, just real quickly, because you've heard some of this rhetoric out there and some of this negative press on annuities, and I've heard it from time to time. Talk a little bit about that, because some people go, well, I don't like annuities. I heard this or that. They don't even really know where they heard it from. They just say that. Will you talk about maybe someone who may be watching this today that maybe has a bad taste in their mouth, or maybe because they heard something when it comes to annuities? Can you talk a little bit more about how they are a positive thing, or can be, in regards to retirement?
Yeah. So from, you got two sides of the fence, right? You got the
Sure.
mutual fund investment world, and then you got the insurance annuity world, right? So, of course, who puts out the most stuff on Google and information about anti-annuities? Well, it's the people charging these excessive fees for the managed money, right? They're controlling the narrative out there on the internet. So a lot of the I hate annuities is driven from that audience, right? Meanwhile, there are a lot of bad annuities out there. I'm not a big variable annuity fans because of the high cost of ownership, the fact that people's money can go backwards. There's annuities where you don't have access to your money and they're just designed for income. And so there's a lot of annuities that I see that are just, I have a hard time. I see, and with an existing client, that all of a sudden I see this for the first time. Like, man, I don't know how this recommendation was ever made, given what the fact pattern. But it's what that advisor, what that agent knew, and so they sold that once upon a time to that client. And so I think there's just bad recommendations more than anything that are made. But I think specifically in this time, there are some. Well, let me just say it this way, Rob. If you're not evaluating both sides of the fence, then I think it's a big miss. I think it's important, whether you're near or you're in retirement, evaluate and make sure you're with somebody that can utilize both those types of investments. But if you want market protection, you want safety, if you're a CD type where you like the fixed and guarantees, then I would challenge you. Hey, look outside the bank, look outside the CD, because there's some incredible fixed market protected solutions that are available where you can drive more predictability, even have more accessibility, and some tax savings features that you can find in those guarantee annuities, those fixed index annuity space.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I think that's what a lot of people are concerned about is risk, right? It seems like most people that we deal with here in our space have worked hard, that they don't want this scary, risky portfolio thing going on anymore, but they don't know where to turn. So that's why I like to ask questions like that, because you do get a lot of or some negative rhetoric out there that's fabricated or put out there by someone. And I think a lot of people we tend to live in a world that just believes everything at face value instead of taking time to research, right? It's not always true on the internet, but I love what we do here with Impact is, we actually take the time to dive deep into that, explain that, the pros and cons, and, very transparent overview. And, your team is really good at doing that and collaborating with us.
Rob, I think the place for most people to start is really just get an analysis, get an evaluation of,
Yeah,
okay, how much, if we hit another downturn, a 2007, a 2008 type of market, how much would my existing portfolio, the way that I'm investing, how much would it be impacted? To me, I call that the stress test. I mean,
yeah,
it's a neat analysis, but more so, it's neat because it's an analysis that's on paper. It's not neat if we don't do anything and our investment accounts truly get impacted. And Rob, I know you had to do this too, but I sat with people, not long after 2008, 2009, where I'm meeting them for the first time in 2011, 2012, and I'm hearing the stories of they weren't invested properly leading into the Great Recession. and
sure,
and again, you can turn on the news tonight and you can go to one channel and somebody's going to tell you how wonderful the market's going to be the next 2 years. And
right.
you can go to the next channel and somebody's going to tell you to grab your guns and gold and head for the hill. So who do you believe, right? Well, it starts with sitting down with somebody, getting educated on, okay, what investments that you have can lose and what investments that you have can't lose. And as simple as that sounds, that's the foundation of what that of where you should start. And then it's okay, how much would you be comfortable in having go backwards, not if, but when we do have that next market downturn.
Yeah, and so real quickly, talk about how important life insurance is to that, because it's amazing to me how many people I sit down with, Pat, when we look at their Medicare, that a lot of them never got life insurance outside of their job. And now it's either expired and skyrocketing in premium, or it's just gone and they can't take it with them. So can you just real briefly talk about the importance of how life insurance fits into this plan, this plan that you put together for people?
Yeah, great question. And my mind goes to a bunch of different places, right? For the young person, it's about who's raising a family, has a mortgage. Life insurance is very much about protection, right? If something
Sure.
happens to me, I want to make sure my wife and my three kids
Right.
are protected. But life insurance, it can also be a vehicle to help you grow money. It can be its own asset class. There's cash value pieces that you can be able to go out there to build towards retirement and use to supplement income in retirement. And life insurance is still the oldest trick in the book. And what I mean by that, in terms of making sure Uncle Sam doesn't get too much of your money, right? So it is a phenomenal vehicle to not just protect, not just for some retirement tools, but also be able to make sure that you are wealth transferring, that you're passing on tax-free money to the next generation. So, when people are looking, okay, how to maximize a benefit, maybe not to my family, maybe it's to my church, maybe it's to
Sure.
a cause or a charity that I'm incredibly passionate about. Life insurance is a phenomenal tool to be able to be able to do that, because life insurance doesn't pass on tax free. What does pass on taxable is those 401ks, and you're making me go full circle, but those retirement accounts, that is a ticking tax bomb that goes on to beneficiaries. So when we're doing things like that proactive tax planning, life insurance is something that's worth evaluating to be able to pass those dollars on tax free to a spouse, tax free on to kids, tax free on to organizations. So life insurance can be a phenomenal tool. And if you're not with somebody who's evaluating those concepts, then I think you're working with one hand behind your back when you're looking at retirement designing.
No, I definitely love that. And let me transition real quickly. And, Pat, you're dropping some serious value today. I know this is going to help a lot of people, because just I run into people all the time that are just so overwhelmed, not only with the Medicare side of things, but then you add the financial, they don't know who to turn to. And I'm glad that we partnered with your guys and your team so we can offer, this one-stop solution, or this one-stop shop, if you will, to help them not only with their Medicare or their other type of insurances, but also, in my opinion, just as important there, or more importantly, maybe for some, their retirement. So what about the person out there that just says, well, I have money in a CD, or I have money in a money market account, or I have money buried in a can out in the backyard, or whatever the case may be. what are some benefits through our analysis that we could offer them that possibly could be a better strategy for them than just leaving it in one of those type of situations?
Yeah, and I think that one comes back to that inflation again, right? When you're looking at the the cost of eggs is up like 30% or something like that. I mean, I just took my 7-year old and my 5-year old daughter for donuts and coffee the other day, and they ring me out, and it was
Sure.
like almost $30, and it's like, holy
Yeah,
cow, we didn't get that many donuts and honey coffee. But I
yeah,
might have put a breakfast sandwich or two in there somewhere. But hey, that's but it is just amazing the cost, right? So we can't just put our money in a coffee can. We can't just put it under a pillow. We can't just have it in checking account savings. Every percent that we can get on our money that's in that's invested, or we have to have it working for us. It doesn't mean we
right,
have to go. That doesn't mean we have to go put it in stocks to try to achieve that, or mutual funds, but we do need to make sure that we're evaluating, hey, even a 1% difference here, a 2% difference here, a 4 or 6% difference, that is incredible in terms of keeping up with inflation, and we're living longer. So you couple with increasing cost, you couple that with living longer. No longer is that retirement maybe 20 years, 30 years. So predictable income, making sure that you have flexibility in your plan to be able to keep pace with inflation, and you're using and evaluating all the right tools. If you're somebody who's sitting with excess cash, and I call it lazy money, Rob, you've heard me say that. It's,
yeah,
if you're sitting with a lot of lazy money, look at how you can put that money to work. How do you employ that money? How can it be working for you? And the most successful people out there are making money while they're sleeping. Right now, they're business
right.
owners, but it's the same thing. We can be putting in vehicles that are actually working for us, while we sleep, and outpacing. I don't know if we can outpace eggs, and my kiddos
Yeah,
are all out of diapers now, so I can speak to that. I'm thankful to have my youngest out of diapers, Rob. Holy cow, buddy! We were uh, I thousands of, well, never. I don't know what the statistic. I don't even want to look back at how many diapers. So our kiddos, Rob, are 7, 5, and almost 3. So 7 years we had at least one kiddo in a diaper. But earlier this year we got my little dude out of diapers, and I feel like we should be saving money, but I feel like those oldest two are maybe taking on a little bit more expenses. Not
yeah.
to
Well,
where the money goes.
we get it. We have a 24-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 14-year-old, and so unfortunately, the two older ones still take withdrawals from the First National Bank of mom and dad from time to time. And but yeah, you're right. Soccer, cheerleading, I mean, all this stuff, it gets really, really expensive. And when you get older and get ready to retire, in most cases, or at least the people I sit down with, they're going on a very fixed income, and the income's not going up, right? But inflation's going up, and prices are going up. And so I'm glad you briefly talked about that. And really what I wanted to do today, Pat, is just give everybody kind of a 30,000-foot view, or a taste of what it would be like to work with Agape in the Impact Retirement Group. So before we close today, I do got another question or two, but what is something maybe that you feel like maybe we haven't talked about in our brief time together that maybe the audience needs to hear, and maybe even talked about the whole analysis process? Like, what does that look like? Are they obligated to something when they submit an analysis? Things like that.
Yeah, that's what that was kind of where my mind goes. So people will probably think like, well, how do I get started, right?
Sure.
What does this meeting process look like? Do I just show up, and Rob and my team just tells me, hey, here's exactly what I need? And it's
Sure.
not. I mean, this needs to be often a 3-4 meeting process. So the very first meeting is what we call our discovery meeting, right? Getting the goals, concerns, getting a better
Yeah.
understanding of what you have and how you're using it. And then there's a lot of homework that we do between meeting 1 and meeting 2, and running our tax analysis, our market risk analysis, our investment fee analysis, looking at the long-term care issues and concerns. And then we get back together at that second meeting. It's now not just saying, hey, here's all your problems. Nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear, okay, how do we address it? How are we going to fix it? How are we going to create solutions? what's it going to look like for us to be a partner in retirement. And there's no fee or cost to come in to meet with us. There's no fee or cost for us to provide the analysis or provide the solutions. The only time people are assessed a fee is if they say, hey, Rob, Pat, hey, listen, we want to work with you. We want to work with your team. We want to make you a part of our financial future. And when that happens, then, people are going to know exactly with transparency of what those costs are going to look like. So I think that's it. And, honestly, Rob, as you know, I love talking about this, but my favorite thing to do are those discovery meetings, those initial meetings, sitting down with somebody, hearing their story, hearing about their family, getting to know what's keeping them up at night. What are their concerns? I love those meetings, but I'm a problem solver, as you know, Rob. So I love coming back together. Our team loves getting back together and now putting a plan in place that fixes that problem. So, if it's golfing, if it's fishing, if it's spending time with grandkids, whatever that is, they can focus on that. And their mind is not set on these issues, these concerns. And, unfortunately, those financial things can be so nagging and can be upheaval to somebody's retirement. But there's a feel good about that when you put those solutions in place and you address those, and then you get together at those review meetings, right? Now, there's still strategies and things that you do ongoing. It's never hey, here's your plan, good luck, right? It's ongoing strategies to address these things as life changes, as estate planning changes, all those things change. But it's fun when you get back together and specifically in like last year where the market was driving downhill, but people knew, hey, I was protected. I built a plan that was weathered for those types of storms, and it's fun to be able to put those in place. And Rob, you and I, we're passionate about helping people, and this is just a great ministry for us to be able to help people thrive.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you use the word ministry, because as my wife and I, former pastors and church planners, and Medicare is a ministry, insurance is a ministry for us, because we see the good, the bad, and the downright ugly all the time, and it's a blessing to come alongside people and help them prepare, or maybe they didn't prepare properly, but we can still put a good plan in place for them. And I love the fact that you're talking a lot about that. And even as you were saying that, we're not just going to say, here's your plan, good luck, have a nice life. But we meet up from time to time as things change in the world. As you well know, it's very volatile, and we live in this very roller coaster type, especially in the markets and other things like that. So I'm glad that you're talking about, it's not just a one time, hey, thank you, we got you a plan, see you later, but we come alongside you and walk this journey, out with you. And so I definitely love the fact that you bring it up. And the last thing I will ask is simply this, and then we'll close today. And if you're watching this today, whenever you're watching this or on whatever platform, if this has brought tons of value, show Pat some love down below and comment and like it, because this helps us get this message out to more people. The YouTube little gods, if you will, they know how to put it out there, but they need your interaction. We need your help to do that. And take just a moment too to click the subscription, the notification bell. That way you're subscribed and notified every time we drop more content like this, because we'll have other people that we partnered with in different areas, like Pat, gurus, expert in these areas, to come and drop some more value like this. But one last thing is, you talked about 3 or 4 meetings, right? And a lot of people, when I meet with them, like just recently I had a gentleman and we're working with them. I think he said he lost like $30,000 in his 401. He was just like blown away and was like, man, I got to get this thing out of here. But what are like some of in the discovery, just to kind of give people a quick idea, what are some of the things that they bring to that, like statements, or do they, what does that look like? Because maybe some people are kind of scared to bring all that or overwhelmed, but I just want to give the people how simple it really is to get this process going.
Yeah, normally there's some analysis to do from that meeting 1 to meeting 2, but if you're gun shy of what to bring, just bring yourself. Just come to that initial meeting and let's have a cup of coffee. Let's just have a conversation. And then from that meeting, there might be some homework on your end about some things that we would need to see or need to review, prior to that second meeting. But that first step is the simple one. It's just getting time with us and for us to have that initial conversation. There's times where, we do that detailed review. I'm like, hey, you're in great shape, but more times than not, they're missing a tax plan. There's not a long-term care plan. There's something that they're missing in place. And so, if that's you, and we would invite you, call the Agape office. We love the opportunity to be able to sit down, and there's no cost to you except for your time to sit down. And, that first meeting normally is maybe 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little bit more, depending on how much we talk about everything else non-financial. But it is just an opportunity to really get to know each other. I hope people leave that first appointment, having some trust, but having some clarity on some of the things that we can come alongside them and be able to help. And to your point, most times there's statements and things that we need to review. And so if you have those handy, bring them with you. But if you don't have them, don't let that stop you from coming in and having that initial conversation. Right. And then from that initial conversation, we can direct you to the key pieces that we would need to see before we connect again.
Yeah. Well, great points. And thank you for bringing that out. And as we close today, whatever season you're in or whatever income vehicles you're currently using or strategies, I want to just challenge you to call us here at Agape Insurance and Financial Group and let us just do this analysis, this no cost analysis. And because it literally could save you hundreds. And I'm going to go on the line here, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong. It could literally save somebody thousands of dollars over their lifetime, right? Just by making that one call. And if you're in a good situation, we're honest enough to tell you, but if you're not, we're going to lay out some strategies that could benefit you greatly. And I'll just say, but you do have a lot to lose as well. So it's your hard-earned money that you've worked hard for. It's your family, and we want to come alongside to help protect you. So our information will be on the screen. It will also be in the video description as well. And I just want to say, God bless you guys. Thank you for stopping by and watching this video today. And we'll see you on the next video.